bourbon flowing.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Another Bourbon Show. Tonight, I'm excited. Well, we're finishing up Michter's month, and we're closing it out with what is, in my opinion, the single best bottle of bourbon that was released in the year 2020.
And a special guest from Michter's, right?
No special guest from Michter's. So, Mr. Bevel, if you die, you die. That's all I can say, right? Like, I can't do a Dolph Lundgren, but if I could, it would be in the Dolph Lundgren voice. If he dies, he dies. Yeah, we got snubbed. Five episodes that they could have joined us.
Big leagued.
But no. They could have stepped up their game, right? Like, we could have taken them to a new level, and they chose not to. That's just a shame.
Have fun with all that dust on your bottles, Michter's, across the country.
Nobody's buying your shit anymore, you sons of bitches. Motherfuckers. Who are we kidding? I'm still going to buy it.
Even we are not going to. They're not even going to lose 3 sales.
No, they won't. I mean, let's put things into perspective. If I was a representative from Michter's and you two sent me an invitation to join this podcast, I wouldn't respond either. Like,
it's true.
No, not going to happen. Tonight, we're going to be drinking what, in my opinion, is the best bottle of 2020. Better than Pappy 15, better than you name it. To me, this one's better. Again, for my palate. You guys can disagree, but you'll be wrong. But before we do that, Steven, you got to rate this label.
Man, this label is a tough one. I went back and forth on this one for a while. To me, Bomberger's looks a little bit like a pirate's shopping list, like a grocery list that a pirate might have. Because of the sort of the font for Bombergers. I don't know why, but I associate it. It's kind of a swashbuckling type font. I don't know why I'm getting that, but there's something about, maybe it's the R's or something like that, looking kind of like stylized and whatnot.
R.
And I like that.
You have to say it like that. You have to say R's.
The R on the Bombergers. It makes it kind of, I do like that they gave it a little bit of flavor. It's not just like Bombergers, you know, it's not, I don't know, like Baker's. We talked about some of that recently, how a lot of these things are going with more an industrial look or something. I just feel like the Bomberger's font is not generic here. So I will give it points for that. I think overall it's one of those that they kind of just let the bourbon speak for itself. And it's very simple, but to me it's kind of in that like bullet-ish range where it's very minimal, and that's going to either be hit or miss for people. So I'm giving it right at a 5. I think this is a very divisive one. I think that it could look better, honestly. Going with something other than just straight up beige might have done a little more for me. It's a very informational bottle, and it's mainly about the bourbon. Take it or leave it. So straight 5.
All right, that's fair enough. For those keeping track at home, there were 1,735 bottles of Bomberger's Declaration released in 2020, and we are drinking bottle 188. Now, I do have to say that you guys made me open up my second bottle of Bomberger's, because my first bottle of Bomberger's I still got sitting over there. I didn't have enough from that bottle for all 3 of us to drink the same thing. And I was like, well, it's more important that we all drink from the exact same bottle, and I'm going to open it anyway. So we are all drinking from the same bottle. And this, like I said, this is bottle 188. It's 108 proof, which is pretty high as far as Michter's is concerned. We don't know anything about the mash bill. We don't have an age statement to go off of. We can say, though, that we know that it's a pretty high age, and you know that by how dark it is. You don't get that darkness from a 4-year aged bottle. That just doesn't happen. So, but there's no other information available out there. So That's all I got to say about it. It is a Michter's product. It's Bomberger's Declaration. It's a celebration of their original distillery up in Pennsylvania. It started off as Shank's Distillery, and then it became Bomberger's Distillery when Bomberger bought it from Shank. They also have another special release called Shank's Homestead. Again, a celebration of their origins back in Pennsylvania. Comes out once a year. Will probably be coming out sometime in the next month or two, although they haven't announced when that will be, as far as I know. And important to note here is that I offered to grab a bottle of this for Ryan, and he said, yeah, no thanks, I'll pass. So we'll see after he sips it tonight. We'll see if he regrets that decision or if he is happy about that decision. This bottle retails at $99, and that's exactly what I paid for it. I bought 3 of them. So I would have bought a 4th one if I would have, but you didn't want one. So
I can just tell by the color it's going to be good.
Well, right on the nose, I think it's very light, and I get hardly any ethanol burn. It's a very, very light sort of fruit, like stone fruit smell.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it smells. Oh, sorry, Dan. It smells a lot like Legent.
I can kind of see that. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, no, I agree with you that it's got a light flavor to it as far as the nose goes. I get fruit. I get orange.
Some people call that
butterscotch.
Scent, you know.
Huh?
Some people call that scent. You said a light flavor as far as the nose goes.
Oh yeah, there you go. One thing I do have to say is, like, look at the coating on the glass. Like, that's one thing that stuck out for me the first time I ever tried it, was like how much of it sticks to the glass anywhere it touches. You call those legs, and the legs on this thing are ridiculous in my opinion. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen something that coats a glass that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, easy joke I wasn't going to make. That's how clever I am that I'm not going to say it, or how much I've grown in the past year. I definitely get like butterscotch and orange for sure.
Yeah.
Like over the top butterscotch, to me at least.
Yeah. So, what do we say?
All right.
Sipping. Cheers.
Yeah,
I think I'll
cheers.
pass.
Okay.
Here's to personal growth from Ryan.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts.
Like super orangey. It is a little nutmeggy. It's like sweet, and there's baking spices. I need another sip. I can't, like, it's hard.
Yeah, to me, this is way more than a one sipper. This is pretty complex.
It's super complex in my opinion. And that's one of the things I like so much about it, is that like it's got so much, to me, it's got a really great flavor to where if you don't want to talk whiskey, you don't have to. You can just sip it and enjoy it. But if you want to get geeky, the complexity is ridiculous in my opinion. Like, I get the orange that you're talking about. I get baking spices, but specifically I get clove. And normally when I talk about baking spices, I'm typically talking about like a nutmeg or a cinnamon or something like that. But with this, I get more of a clove type of a.
I get cinnamon. I get cinnamon and nutmeg too. I'm getting all of it at different points.
It's there too, but to me, the forward one is I get clove forward, but
finish is really long.
Yeah, I was gonna say for only 108 proof, to me this reminds me a lot of the 10-year in that it's like it's really, really a long finish without much of an ethanol burn. It's just a long, full-bodied finish the entire time, which I compared on the 10-year. I think I compared that to Stag Junior, and again, I would say that this sips like something that's around 130 proof, But it's not because of an ethanol burn. It's just because there's just such a long, complex finish.
Mm-hmm.
This is good AF, as the kids on TikTok would say.
And we're the kids on TikTok, actually. So that's as we would say.
Yeah. So I think that probably the single biggest thing that contributes to the long finish is the same thing that contributes to those legs.
Very
Like
oily.
that oiliness that's inherent to it.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's just that full mouth coating. It just sticks around. You can feel it going the entire way down just because it's very thick. It's almost acidic with the way, like kind of how Ryan was talking about with the orange and whatnot. I'm
Mhm.
somebody who I used to have acid reflux really bad. I couldn't have oranges and whatnot. It almost feels like the same way as like having orange pulp or something like that, how it used to feel for me. And that
Mhm.
you feel, the liquid as you swallow it, basically.
Mhm.
Did you have their 2019 release?
I did, but I didn't have a bottle of it. I just had a pour of it.
Okay.
And I preferred, like, the moment I tried this one, I was just like, oh, this one is so much better, in my opinion. Not that the 2019 was bad, just that the 2020 to me is better. And like, this is one that when you add a little bit of water or you add a little bit of ice, it completely changes it. Like, it has completely different flavor profiles, and they are just as good, but they're different. Like, if you add a little bit of ice, you get more of a corn flavor out of it. You get more like butter out of it. When you add a little bit of water, I get more of the like spiciness out of it. It's but any way I've had it, it has just been awesome. Just absolutely love it.
But your favorite way to drink it is neat.
That depends on the night. Like tonight, I would not want it with ice or with any water. Um, but there have been other nights when I'm like, no, I just want to have a little one cube, and just let it sit there, and a couple minutes later, start to sipping.
I ask because one of my first reactions is that I think it's really good, but I almost wish they proofed it down just a little bit,
Mhm.
just because to me it's on the edge of the finish is a little bit too long sometimes
Okay.
to prove. Now it's a very special drink I get, and you'd be sipping this and really enjoying it. But to me, it has a little bit of the quality of it's right on there on the verge of not something I would want to have every night kind of thing, or even that often. I'll say,
Okay.
just because it is very complex. You wouldn't want to have like if I. It's one of those whiskeys that if I had anything to eat that night that was particularly like oniony or something like that, where it's like kind of a powerful flavor, I'm just like, well, I guess I'm not gonna have a glass of Bombergers tonight.
Hmm.
It's just gonna, kind of soil that experience.
Why don't you go grab an ice cube?
Okay, I got some water here as well, so I can do a little bit with a splash of water as well.
Yeah, give it a try. Like, I'm the guy who made a Pappy Coke. Just fucking drink it however you want to drink it. Experience it.
Got a little bit of
Well,
water in there.
I know this, Dan. When you're able to get a bottle come September, October, November, think of me before Steven.
I ain't thinking about either one of you motherfuckers. I'm buying a case of it, and I'm not letting you. Well, a case is 3 in this case, but but I'm gonna buy a case of it, and I'm gonna not even gonna let you fuckers know.
Thanks, dude.
You're welcome.
I do agree. There's a lot more. Yeah, I get a lot more peanut all of a sudden.
With you added some water.
Just a little splash of water, yeah.
Yeah.
I get a little bit of peanut taste now,
Mhm.
and it's sort of more the profile that I expected whenever I smelled it, which was Legion,
Mhm.
along those lines, kind of a Jim Beam-ish type taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer it neat or with a couple drops of water?
I'll be very curious to try it with the ice cube, but just trying it with the water, I think I prefer it neat.
Okay.
But I think I would I think most often I would probably have it neat so far. I would have it neat with maybe like a cup of water on the side, just to keep it
Okay.
from being too dry of a mouthfeel.
Yeah, it does. It does leave. It's got a very, very dry mouthfeel.
Yeah.
And it's got a dry finish. And the thing is I don't know, like Kentucky straight bourbon small batch. It doesn't say anything about a finishing barrel. But a lot of times, like, that dry finish comes from being finished in a wine barrel. But they would have to say Kentucky straight bourbon finished in whatever barrel.
Like what Angel's Envy Rye does.
Exactly. Right.
Or Legion itself.
Or Legion. Exactly. Yeah, they would have to put that on the label. I'm fairly confident. If a listener knows that I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure that that's a requirement if it's finished in a... Like, they can no longer call it bourbon. They have to call it bourbon finished in X, as far as I know. I think that's a legal thing. All right, Steven, what do you think of it with a little bit of ice?
I hate it.
No, that's just my review of you, actually, Ryan. No, I think that didn't you say that you thought that it tastes a lot more like you got more of the corn taste with
Yeah,
the
more
ice
of,
cube?
I tend to get more corn and like butteriness with some ice.
I can see the butteriness a little bit, but I think more than corn, I taste like a malted barley type, stronger. But it is interesting how all three ways, like you said, are very different tastes. To me, that's most comparable to like the smoke wagon of the whiskeys that we've had.
Mhm.
Although I haven't been compelled to have a lot of these with an ice cube or anything. But it's my first, I guess, reaction is that the ice cube, I like the ice cube about as much as I like neat,
Mhm.
which is really saying something because, that's almost never the case, right?
Yeah.
And I think it brings out a really good flavor to it. I'm shocked it's not finished in something else though. Just based on, or at least we don't think that it is, because it definitely takes on so many different characteristics depending on how much water's added.
Yeah. But again, like, as far as I know, they would have to label that it was finished in something. And it doesn't, there's nothing about it that says anything about being finished. So, yeah.
Well, either it's really complex or they're stone cold liars over at Michter's.
And they would be breaking the law, I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm
Let's just go
fairly
on.
certain
Let's go on record now and say Michter's is breaking the law.
those motherfuckers.
I think it was obvious in retrospect why they didn't want to join us for this episode.
Clearly, they knew we would hold their feet to the fire and get down to the bottom. This is a scandal. Like, this is a full-fledged scandal that we've gotten started here.
Speaking of controversies, I know that one thing I heard about the Angel's Envy Rye, which we've talked a lot about recently and we liked a lot. One thing I heard is that people think online that they add sugar to
They can't.
Angel's Envy Rye.
Can't do it.
That's what people say, or at least that's like kind of like an underground seems to be like rumors that there's some sugar added.
Well, the thing about that is that generally speaking, people are dumb. And number two, they can't do it. It's not possible. So
It is Bacardi.
Well, why do you say
No,
they can't do it, Dan? Can you elaborate
they-
on that?
they would have to they would have to label it.
There too. I mean,
It would then be labeled as a liqueur.
yeah, their stuff's too. I mean, expensive, and you tell the amount of craft they put into it. They're not going to risk putting sugar into the batch just to make it a little sweeter.
Nope. They can, like, technically they could, but would be against the law. They've got too much to risk. It's not going to happen. Sure. That's the reason
it's
why.
Conspiratorial to say otherwise.
Yeah, and it's a dumb one. Like that's dumber than saying that they faked the moon landing, and that's a really, really dumb conspiracy theory. It's dumber to think that Angel's Envy puts sugar in their bourbon than to think the Earth is flat, because it's so easy to prove that they don't, right? Like the government has no vested interest in making sure Angel's Envy gets to keep labeling their stuff as whiskey, bourbon finished in a rum barrel. U.S. government doesn't give a shit about that. If you think that maybe the government has a vested interest in making people believe the Earth is round, I could kind of see that. It's not. Like, I mean, it's not flat. It's obviously
flat.
round.
What you're saying, it's flat.
No, I'm saying it's not dumb to think that the government might be interested in pushing that. But the world is fucking round. But the government has no vested interest in making sure Angel's Envy Rye can not be labeled as a liqueur. So tell people they're dumb. That's what I always do.
Go back to the internet with that information, Dan. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Well, speaking of people that make you angry on the internet, I know that you have a little soapbox you want to get onto. You mentioned earlier.
Well, it was actually about Mr. Belleville from Michter's and them not joining us. I mean, like we didn't ask for anything, right? Right from the beginning, I was like, hey, we just want somebody to come join us. We're not asking for anything except for somebody to join us on the podcast. I told them, I put in the email that I initially sent, we're drinking Michter's Toasted Sour Mash. And I told them, for your information, we're drinking batch number 19G1243. So if you want to join, that's what we're drinking. We're drinking Michter's Toasted Rye. That one up there. And I gave them the batch number. We're drinking Michter's 10. And I gave them the batch number. I even gave them the batch number of this $45 bottle. Hey, we're drinking batch number 21A084. And bottle number 188. Just to let them know. We're not asking for anything. We're drinking my shit. Just join us. And these motherfuckers didn't.
Did you check your spam? Did you check your spam folder?
Yeah.
Okay, well then fuck them. I can't believe these animals.
I know, right?
I just wanted to make sure I went all my ducks in a row before I...
Dan's checking his spam right now.
I'm going to...
Look at him.
I am, but I checked everything. Like the last time I checked...
I hope they responded.
You imagine?
That would be so
funny.
funny.
Him like every 2 days they're emailing him.
It's like, Dan, please, we heard about Dustin. We want to join.
Oh, shit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fucking All right. Let's rate it. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, let's hear it. Well, first of all, first question. Right. Do you regret me not buying you a bottle?
Yeah, because this is really good.
Okay.
Just the characteristics of it, the legs it has, it sticks with you, but it's not in a bad way, like the old Crow did when we did like the terrible whiskey night. I love the baking spices to it, the orange, the butterscotch, everything. Keeping it short and sweet. I'm going to go an 8-9. I still don't like it as much as Angel's Envy Rye or Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel, but it's right there. And if I'm lucky enough to get another bottle from you this year, I will gladly send you the $99 or whatever the juice you're going to probably add on top of that. Oh, $150 this year. And I'll pay that because it's that good. I'll be honest, when you told me like, hey, you want a bottle of Bombergers, I had no idea what it was. That, or because I think you got some Shanks too, right?
Yeah.
Or am I crazy? You picked that up the same day?
Yeah.
and I hadn't heard of either of them.
Mhm.
I knew what Michter's was. I didn't know they were affiliated with Michter's because I had only had their rye at that point. But like Steven said, for something that's so low in proof, I mean, 108, is what it is, but it definitely kicks up. It feels a lot. It feels closer to a 125, 130 than a 108. So just shows you what they do with lower proofs and how complex all their whiskeys are. It seems like,
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm going 8-9 right there, right under a 9. I know you're probably gonna go a little higher, but still really good.
Okay. Steven, you want to go next, or you want me to?
I'll go next, sure. So I think that I'm pretty much right there with Ryan. I'm going to be giving it an 8.9. I was juggling between 8.8 and 8.9, and before Ryan said anything, I decided on 8.9 just because I heard that's going to be Pavel Buchnevich's new number with the Blues. So welcome to Blues, Pavel Buchnevich with my rating.
Brandon Saad, baby, you're gonna love him.
Brandon Saad, number 20. So I could give it a 2.0 on the other end of the spectrum, but I'm gonna stick with Pavel Buchnevich here and give it an 8.9. But I think that like I was saying earlier, the reason I don't give it any higher, even though this is definitely up there with some of my favorites so far, the reason I don't give it any higher is because it's 108 proof isn't nothing at all, but it's still a little bit like I wanna. It doesn't burn that much, but the finish is so long, I want to proof it down a little bit, but I liked it a lot with an ice cube, so I still liked it a lot. I mean, I almost have no complaints about Smoke Wagon or Angel's Envy Rye. Some of those things I rated a little bit higher. This I like a lot, but I just see myself drinking a little bit less than those other ones. So I think it deserves a high mark, but I don't know. I would love to taste this at maybe some of the other batches that would come out, and there would be slightly variations there. So I just think that if I picked up a bottle of Bombergers, period, regardless of the batch or anything like that, I think I'm going to like it quite a bit, and that's why I'm giving it a high 8. So an 8.9 from me.
Okay. All right. I'm going to use the same numbers that you guys used, but I'm going to flip flop them.
Oh.
I'm going 9.8.
The highest rating so far anybody's given any bourbon so far.
This is not perfect, but it's one of the most as close to perfect for my palate that I've ever tasted. It's, to me, it's got complexity if I want to think about it, but it's smooth and enjoyable enough to just sip and ignore that if I want to. To me, that's as good as it gets, right? Like, I'm not gonna say
With Jack Nicholson?
Huh? Yeah, that's as good as it gets. I've seen that movie. I've seen it.
Who's Jack Nicholson? I've never heard.
I love, and I remember that he's an asshole in that movie, and I love the fact that he's an asshole in that movie because he's an asshole that cares, right? Like, he's an asshole that, like, he just speaks his mind. I will say that there's a chance on a given night I might enjoy the actual flavor of Early Times or Elijah Craig Toasted or Angel's Envy Rye or whatever. I might enjoy sipping in the flavor that I get from that on certain nights than I get from Bombergers, depending on the night. But what they can never do is they can never give me the complexity that this gets, right? Like, this has got a phenomenal flavor, in my opinion. But there are nights when I want something sweeter. There are other nights when I want something drier. But I will always enjoy having a pour of this, no matter what. But those other things that are sweeter or other things that are spicier or other things that are drier that I might be in the mood for on a particular night, they never match the complexity of this. And again, I have the ability to enjoy it and not focus on the complexity, just drink it to get drunk. Or if I want something complex, I can sip on it and try to figure out the different flavors that I'm picking up from it. And that's what this has that none of them else none of the other ones have, and they can't match that. So that's the reason I give it a 9.8. It's good with water. It's good with ice. It's great neat. So to me, it's as close to being a perfect bourbon as you can get for me.
Another brother show.
I just want the Bulls to be good again.
Fuck Lonzo Ball. Fuck his dad.
I can't wait until you
LaMelo-
run into Lonzo Ball somewhere. You're like, can I have a picture with you, Mr. Ball?